Jai Hind, Hare Krishna. This short video is all about how to write the introduction for a project research. This video is for B Pharm, Pharm D, M Pharm, whomsoever is doing a research. More so, I would be talking about pharmacy practice oriented research or patient oriented research with pharmacy, or this applicable more to Pharm D related projects. But there are general structures or procedures or things that we can follow when we are writing a project research thesis or an introduction in specific, which we are going to talk about in this video. Now, before starting off a project or a research, I would not call it a project. Anything is a research because we are doing to do it for as a new thing, as something that is going to fill the gap that is already present in the knowledge which is available in this world, right? So anything is a research. We need not call it a project. A project is not the right word. We let us call it research. So whenever we write a research thesis, first of all, there are two things. One, we will be doing this entire process when we are writing our protocol, right? So, a protocol is something which gives a fair idea of what is the research question, how are we planning to do the research, what is the background, and how am I going to do my methodology, what will be included, what will be excluded, where am I going to do this research, how am I going to do this research, what will be the expected outcome of this research, and all those things like why am I doing this research, justification. So all these questions of why, what, where, when, how, who, all these questions will be answered in a protocol. A protocol is kind of a trial run that we walk through the project, or we take the reader of the protocol through the project on, how am I going to do the project, what all am I going to involve in it, and what would be the expected outcome of the research, right? So when we write the protocol, we would be writing an introduction section, right? And once we complete the entire study, see, the protocol is submitted. We have all the proformas, or the, if it is going to be patient oriented research, there is going to be questionnaires, there is going to be the methodology, the instruments with which we are going to do the research, and all those things. Once we give all these details in the protocol and an ethics committee approval has been taken in terms of patient research and ethics, institutes ethics committee, hospital ethics committee, review board, or whatever institutes review board, or whatever is available in that particular organization where we are going to do this research, once they clear it, then we will be doing a small pilot, and from the pilot we have some learnings, and from the learnings we would change the we would make some alterations in the original research thing, and then we would be implementing it as it deems fit with the approval of the ethics committee, right? So this is how it happens. So we are going to write the entire project or the protocol or the research protocol first when we are going to do it as a submission to the ethics committee, right? So we will have to write the protocol. Then once we complete the entire research, we will be writing an introduction in, because that is going to be past tense. You would have completed your research and then you are going to write your introduction. So whatever you are writing in the protocol may need not be actively copied in the final research thesis paper. So these two are going to be different, because in the protocol you are going to write your intentions on how you are going to do, but when you have completed the research, you are going to submit the thesis where you have done the research and you are submitting. So your thesis actual happening is in the past tense, right? So that has to be understood when we are finally writing the thesis. Now, for a protocol, what all should be in the introduction is a question everybody asks. See, there is more of common sense and presence of mind in answering this question. If you have done, say, some 2025 research and publications and other things, you will not ask this question. But naturally, when the first time we do a research or a protocol, or for the sake of submission to the universities or to PCI, whenever you are doing a research or a project, this question automatically emerges up. No, what all should be in the introduction part of the, we will see one by one. The first part is introduction, the second would be literature review, aim and objectives, how to write all these things one by one, for especially Pharm D, and it's applicable also to B Pharm and M Pharm oriented research. This can give a fair idea on to people who are freshers or who start doing research, even for PhD people who are applying for approval of PhD protocols and other things. Please go through all these steps and understand what forms a part of this introduction and what does not form a part of this introduction. Right now, basically when we write it before the protocol section, like we have not completed the thesis, we intend to do a research and we are trying to submit a protocol to an ethics committee or a review board or whatever it is, or to the university or to the boards. Then we have to write what we intend to do or what we intend to learn or what we intend to do as a research and what would be the question, right? Intentions have to be written. But once you have completed the thesis, then you will have to write, what all you learned from the research. Like here there was an intention in the protocol, but while you are submitting the final thesis, you will have to write, what is the outcome or what have you learned from the research. So both these tense will be different, the way the English will be used will be different in both these places. Okay, now it should be very concise, it should be brief, it should be all those things everybody understand. The principle should be KISS, keep it simple and straight. The introduction part should be simple and straight. Okay, now what is the topic, what is the background of the topic, how do you establish the problem, and what is the route map. So these things have to be highlighted in the introduction part of a research thesis or in the protocol. You will have to have give clarity. Like suppose I am taking a question for research or an hypothesis for research, why this question is important. Now, is it relevant? Is it important? Is it specific to my subject study? Is it going to add any value to the patient? Is it going to add any value to the policy making bodies in the government? Why am I doing, all these things, right? Don't tell this. Don't tell that, by doing like this may happen, and so it should not be done. No, it's not like that. You have to give an explanation on why this research is important, not telling the outcomes like if this research is done it is going to add value to this. No, you are not, you need not tell what would be the outcome. You have to explain on what you intend to do and how it can affect the patient population, how it can affect the today's management of a particular disease, how it can affect. Justification has to be given in the introduction part of it. Now, to start with, you may start it in a very broad manner. Like if I am talking about myasthenia gravis as a disease and I am going to do a research or a project in myasthenia gravis, now I would be saying that how much percentage of this entire world population is affected by myasthenia gravis. Now, how much is it going to happen in India? What is the statistics in India? If I am doing it in Andhra Pradesh, now how much of the population in Andhra Pradesh is affected by this particular disease? So this way of quantifying the thing and then telling that this much amount of population is affected by this, and then I am going to do it like this, and what am I intending to do it, all these things out. It is a natural process, right? When you are doing to do a research in a particular area X, you will have to detail the entire broader area. Then you will have to short down and come to, it is called as a funnel mechanism of importance, right? When the reader, you have to take the reader, taking him by the hand throughout the introduction on giving a justification of this entire topic. So what all have to be done to make the reader get satisfied on, yes, this topic is required, this is a worthwhile research question. You will have to do all those things, what has to be introduced in, what has to be put into the introduction part of the thesis. Now, I can say it like this: introduce the topic. Once you introduce the topic, this is my topic, there becomes a broad area, and that broad area you will have to give a background. Like, why did I come to this topic? What is the justification that this topic is required today? What all I have done in the background, and that background information has to be presented over there, and describe the background and give an explanation of the problem, the establishment of the problem, because the reader has to be convinced that there is a problem, right? So you have started a research on a particular problem, and whether that problem is really important, interesting, and is it going to add any value to the patient or to the medical population or to the fraternity or to the existing knowledge gap which is available? That you will have to explain in the introduction part of it, and make the viewer or the reader or the whomsoever, if it is going to be the protocol, the institution ethics committee or the research committee, and if it is going to be the thesis, when the person is going to read the thesis after you have completed your thesis research, then he will have to accept that it is a worthwhile problem for which you have done a value addition. So you have to establish the entire problem, and you have to give a map, like, in this thesis I am going to do it like this thesis covers this like this. So all these things are going to be there in the introduction part of it. So you will give a overview, you will say what all prior research has happened and where there is a knowledge gap. See, you may have a question now. Now we are doing a research, the literature review. The literature review covers all the prior research. So introduction is something where you give justification of why you are setting the scene. Before trying to say something, you are setting the scene. Like, why am I telling this? Why should this question is important? Why should this be an interesting thing to you? What value addition I have done? So all these things have to be, it is a kind of setting the scene. You may go with the funnel approach and set the scene. Why this is an important thing? Start with the broader subject, come down, come down, come down, and this is the research question, because the gap today what is existing in the research is this. So you can follow that approach, right? So you will give a overview, you will give a understanding of what all prior research has happened. You will talk about the rationale, like why this research is important or why this question is rational. Then you will put forth your question or statement, like this is what is my statement, and outline the entire scenario, world scenario, Indian scenario, the state in which you are going to do this research, all these scenarios, and then tell your intent. I am going to do it like this for this reason. And you will have to give the key characteristics on what you want to learn from this entire research, and how you are going to, how you are intending to proceed ahead with this research. So these are all things that are going to be in the introduction. See, we cannot give a structured thing that, you can copy paste this should be the topic and we will have to involve all this, because the pharmaceutics, the research mechanism will be, the methodology will be different. In pharmacy practice, it is going to be different. In pharmacology, it is going to be different. But overall, the key idea, the basic knowledge on what should be in the introduction is going to be the same. You have to create a setting, a scene has to be set so that the reader will understand why this research is important and how are you planning to do this research and how it adds value. So in this, the probable thing is you start with the broader area. Now, for example, I'll explain it to you with a pharmacy practice study. Now, we do a research on a safe drug survey. We did this survey online, offline, and all those methods we did. We got some outcome that, paracetamol is the safest drug, or so XYZ is the safest drug, or a herbal product is the safest drug. Some people said no drug is safe, some people said that all Ayurvedic drugs are safe, some people said that Siddha drugs are safe, so like that. So now the question is, is there a safe drug? We want to understand what the common public thinks, right? So this thesis is completed, this research work is completed, the survey is completed. Now, to publish it, how do I write an article? Now, how do I write a structured way, in a structured way, so that I can publish this as an article? Now, let me explain it like this to you. This survey was on safe drug. So question number one, what are the classification of methods of drug systems that are available in this country? Ayurveda is there, Siddha is there, naturopathy is there, allopathy is there. So all these things we can start over. And what is safe, what is not safe? Safe means what? Devoid of any effect, devoid of side effect, or is there anything which is not having any side effect really? Or what do you mean by an adverse reaction? Drug interaction, if it interacts with the other products, it is called safe or not. If it interacts with food, it is called safe or not. If it interacts with the normal process of the body, it is called safe or not. So what do you mean by safe? And where have you done this survey? Why did you do this survey? Now, the intention of doing this survey is to understand, do people think that there is something called a safe drug? Means all drugs, any chemical entity or any entity that we supplement via oral route or any route into the body is meant to do something into the body, right? So when they have an effect, there will always be an side effect or an adverse effect. So do we understand that every drug has got a side effect? Now, what is the idea behind doing this study? Now, self medication. Some people may think that the drug is safe. XYZ drug is safe. Acetaminophen is safe. So I don't mind. There are people who completely were dependent on paracetamol. Even a small pain, they used to take paracetamol, and they think that paracetamol is the most safest drug available. So some people keep on taking tulsi consistently. Diabetic people keep on taking fenugreek seeds consistently. So what is safe? So in this study, we will have to explain what are the practices across the globe. Is there any other study that has happened in the past like that? Prior research has happened or not? What is the rationale? The rationale is self medication should be avoided because there is nothing called the safe. Every drug has got a dose dependent effect, or every drug has got a side effect or a means efficacy also as a side effect, right? So both those things are going to be right. So all these outlines have to be given there. The key characteristics of the study, like why, what, where, when, how, who. All these questions have to be answered in the introduction part of it. And if you are going to, it is going to be a collection of all the things that you have learned from the study if you are writing this after the study, and all the things that you intend to learn from the study if you are writing it for the protocol. So introduction is a collection of facts, and you may follow a funnel approach by starting from the broader topic and coming down to your research question and justifying, establishing the problem and mapping the entire thesis, and finally say what do you intend to learn if you are writing the protocol, and what have you learned if you are writing the thesis of it. But there is always a results section where you are going to establish the complete results and analyze and do a discussion of what is the latest update compared to the current studies that are published. Now, the next question is, whenever you do a research without publication, the research is of no use, because only when you publish it reaches the fraternity who is interested in further research. And if you are not going to fill that knowledge gap and publish your research thesis, it's of no use. So please publish the thesis that you are doing. And in introduction, as I said, you will have to write everything. It may contain world over statistics, it may contain India statistics, it may contain the regional statistics, it may contain the prevalence rates, it may contain the incidence rates, it may contain the prior research. There is nothing specific that can be put into the introduction. It is setting the scene, is what is always called as the introduction. Before doing something, you give a preamble. Before you read a book, you have a preface. Before you go ahead with doing something, you have got a summary, you have got an abstract, you have got an introduction to introduce you to the topic. The reader has to be made familiar with what this research is all about, is what is introduction, right? So there is nothing hard and fast what you will have to put in the introduction, but this question is important. There is a justification, and one thing has to be remembered in introduction: don't tell, you will have to explain. You cannot give the statement. And ultimately, the qualities of an introduction, good introduction, should be KISS. Keep it simple and straight. So, hope this was helpful to the Pharm D, M Pharm students as well as the B Pharm students who are doing the research. The introduction part will contain all these things. Thank you. Jai Hind.